now we're going to look at installing the motherboard into the case. First of all, what you want to do is you want to take your IO shield and you want to install this in first. Yeah, bit of a pain to get open, but you don't want to forget this, otherwise you're going to put your motherboard in and then realise you've missed this out. It's just aesthetics really, keeping the case all lined up. So when you put this in, obviously you want to look at the way it goes. Now with this one, you want to look at the orientation of your motherboard as well, and this goes in this way. When you put it in, make sure you push all 4 corners in, and every time you do, you will hear a click, and you know that is it installed. Look at the back, make sure it's all nice, look at the inside, and it should all be flush. Now with the Aurora Gaming 7 motherboard, it's actually got padding on the back of the IO shield, which is quite nice, and I did notice a location pin in here as well. So when you put the motherboard in, you can locate the motherboard and make sure you do not scratch the back of it. It's a pretty expensive motherboard, and the last thing you want to do is scratch the back and really sort of mess it up. So I am taking it up from its heat sink. I'm going to put this thing in and make sure I line it up properly, obviously making sure that it all goes through the IO shield as well, which it has done, it's padded. And then what you want to do is you want to take your screwdriver, ratchet screwdriver, normal screwdriver, and put the pins in gently one by one, making sure the motherboard is lined up with all its holes. Again, last thing you want to do is scratch the back of this, having to manoeuvre it round because you haven't got all the holes lined up, and potentially damaging the solder joints in the back. Not only that, you don't want to damage your PCI Express lanes, otherwise your hardware is not going to work. Again, this case has got plenty of space to be building in. As you can see, the motherboard is here only. You have got all that space. So yeah, Corsair went and outdid themselves. I think the only case that sort of can match this is the Fantex Elite, which I think is the other biggest case out there really. Again, I prefer Corsair. I'm a bit of a fanboy, to be honest with you. But everybody has their own makes. People like Razer, people like, again, all sorts. It's personal preference on what you want to choose. Now, with this motherboard, you have 2 lots of 12-volt connectors. You have a 4-pin at the top of the CPU, and you have then a 8-pin just underneath it. Both have to be connected. This thing takes a lot of power. I think I just said ting, I meant thing. This thing takes a lot of power, so you will need both of those pins from the PSU into the motherboard to make sure it works. Now, again, just going through, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws to make sure that you've all got in place. Once they're all in place, just gently tighten them down. You don't need to go OTT on this because it will all stay in place. Again, don't scratch anything as you're putting it in. You've got locator pins, so you don't need to worry about a middle one. A bit of a pain with the older motherboards because this already has the pins coming in with it. When I got my X3 Predator and the Asus P7P 55D Deluxe Edition motherboard, I had to work out where the pins went for the motherboard, and it was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you. So yeah, modern cases now come with the pins. This one already has all the pins in for every motherboard that you could probably wish for, and also the ATX one on the bottom here. So I am now going to get this up to show you what the inside looks like. And there you go. That is an ATX motherboard inside this Corsair 1000D, and as you can see, EATX comes up to here alone. I'm obviously going to be leaving that all free because I'm going to put some custom called water loops in here, and your ITX there fits just underneath. Now, what you want to do is you've got brackets here for the GPUs, which is probably the next thing I'm going to actually take out. You want to take out 2 for the top one, work your way down, work it out. So take out the first two, skip one, take out the second two. Now these are thumb screws, but the manufacturers end up doing them so tightly you can't get them out. Normal wiring came out the back. So take your screwdriver, find out number 1, number 2, skip 3, number 4, number 5. So yeah, 1, 2, skip 3, 4. It's 5 and 6 actually you want to take out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I'm running 2 graphics cards in this, or GPUs, they are quite big. 2 width graphics cards, in fact. So you want to make sure that when you take these out, 1, you don't drop the thumb screws, and 2, if this is a new case, the slides stay in. Put them somewhere where you can see them. Just unscrew them. And you should be good to go by pulling them out. Now, what I didn't realise with this case, and all its magnificentness, is there's cable management up here at the top as well, which you can see all the cables that come with it. Obviously all your fan extensions there, so when you pull that out, that's actually for the RGB Corsair logo light in the front. So again, just by taking all these out, you don't want to drop anything obviously, so one hand to hold, one hand to take the screw out, and he says you should be done. And again, like I said, you want to skip 2, 3, you want to take out, sorry, skip 3 and 4, take out 5 and 6, which should already be loosened up. And there you go. So it's now time to get the GPUs in place. Here is obviously a rubber grommet for your power supply cables to come up and through. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and now get out both graphics cards. Like I said, GPUs, graphics cards, as a graphics processing unit is what GPU stands for. So when people say, oh no, it's not a graphics card, it kind of is, but it's a graphics processing unit. So with these, that's how big they are. ACX technology, dual fan, wrong end, so all your heat sinks, and that is the other side. So this is a 2-width graphics card. You've got DVI support, 1 HDMI, and you've got 3 display ports for 4K. And make sure you just take off all the plastic wrapping as well. The last thing you want to do is stick your GPU in with all the plastic around it. Same when I install the cooler, I want to make sure that that plastic is off the bottom of the cooler as well, because with plastic on, what it's going to do is melt and make all your components stick together, which is not good for anybody, especially when some of this stuff is 400 quid plus. So again, this is also white LEDs, white LED logo, front all lights up, and your back plate as well. Again, got the plastic on, plastic covers for the bottom, plastic cover for the slide, and just make sure that you haven't missed any plastic, especially the little one that is hiding over the logo here. Didn't notice that until the light shone on it basically, but there you go. So when you slot these in, line them up, make sure the lug on the back of your motherboard is open, line it up with the slots that are already there, and it should just slot in to place, like so. As you can see, pretty beefy. Didn't think it was going to fit then, but it does. As you can see, there's not much space around the top of it. So once it's in place, you want to line up the GPU with its relative holes, and again, make sure they're all in place, and just for now, just put them in a little, because when you do this, you want to push that GPU up. You want to make sure that these pins or thumb screws will actually be tight enough to hold it in place. Now you will get, over a bit of time, a bit of GPU lag on this back end because of how heavy these are. There are ways of sorting that out. There are videos on the internet. You bend the pins at the back here, and it should technically stay in place. The other thing to mention is, take out this wrapper here. It is your PCIe cables for the 8-pin GPU power supply. It's getting pretty hot here, and it's about 10:15 at night. So I've been going at this for a good sort of hour or so now. As you can tell, already unwrapped this one a bit earlier on. Just make sure you take off all the lugs on the back as well. Put them in the box just in case you need to send these back, and EVGA do actually collect them themselves. So again, the only one I didn't take off was the plastic casing on this one, which doesn't seem to want to come off. So I've got a little Stanley blade here. I'm just going to pick at this, find a hole, hopefully that one, without scratching anything, and away we go. So yeah, these are, as I said, 1070s. These are the super clocked versions as well. So powerful graphics cards or GPUs, depending where you're from. Again, line it up. Make sure the lug on the bottom is open, and it should just slot in like so. Again, same rules as apply for the top one. Just put these thumb screws in, make sure they're all lined up, ready to go. And you can do them up in a minute. Make sure you do them up, obviously, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a mess. So, lift up your GPU, it's all now in place, and screw the bottom one in first, and then your top one. The bottom one will hold it in, the top one will just secure it enough for you. And obviously make sure, which I didn't do, is you've got a plastic cover. There's me telling you not to forget things, and I've done one myself, so this is what I mean. Just make sure everything's off before you go a bit gun home, put everything in. There's actually a plastic cover over the Aurorus logo on the motherboard, which obviously I forgot to take out. But that's a good way to show you on how to remove a graphics card as well. So whilst we're here, you have a pin just above here. Push that lug back, wiggle your graphics card a little, if it'll come out. Which this one didn't seem to want to do. And make sure you take that plastic cover off. Now that logo is actually a bit of plastic there as well, so it is going to make your motherboard glow. Right. Obviously again, make sure the lug's back and just insert it into its relevant spot. You will hear it click. And again, put it all back together. Now, as I said, I haven't built a computer for myself personally for about 8 or 9 years now, and it was definitely due and well needed upgrade. running an i5 650 processor, an LGA 1156 socket, wasn't quite keeping up with the latest specs, was it? It was running games not at the greatest FPS. I had to basically turn all the settings down to low to get it to work, and yeah, I just fancied something with a bit of a change, a bit more high end. I think this whole system actually is going to cost around about 3,300, which is quite a lot of money to spend, really, when you come to think about it. So there's all that in place. Again, I think I may have forgot something just on the motherboard itself, actually, which is a little bit of plastic that I didn't see right over the logo. And if it ever comes off, it will be an absolute miracle.
Transition.
Right, so the fans are on the radiator now. Obviously trusted cable ties. Like I said, I've got to modify this slightly to get it into the correct position. Like I said, NMAX don't supply one that is as wide as it needs to be for these. So like I said, I'm going to have to do a bit of modification to get this into the right position, which I'm going to do now. So might not be the best way of doing it, but it's the only way to do this. Like I said, they don't supply a long enough tube, so you want to make sure it is tight. Again, gonna need your plies here, and all I'm going to do is stick it into place, grab the little notch, and hopefully he says might have to do two. These are 370mm or millimeters, should I say, cable ties, and they are not enough to stick this into place. So all I'm doing is just making sure it is tight enough round the cooler so it does not move out of place, especially when you're putting everything in. Last thing you want to do is break it. So yeah, modification needed with this case. Like any build really, things can always go wrong, things may not fit, like the NMAX cooler. And you know, shout out to NMAX and their lip tip cooler. Good idea, good invention. Unfortunately, if they could offer a little more in the way of size of just the size really of their 40mm thickness tubes, because now, if you're like me, you've got to mod this to keep it in place, and it's no easy feat keeping a cooler of this size in place. Obviously when you do this, please do not cut any cables, that will be the ultimate death of your machine. So I'll show you what it looks like in a minute, but yeah, nearly done. All I'm doing now is just feeding the cable underneath to hook up these fans. Again, you might want to undo them, and I will show you what they look like from behind in a moment. But yeah, with the NMAX cord as well, you get a 3-to-1 connector that's going to link up all 3 fans to the motherboard. It's like bombs in this place over there. There's rubbish everywhere. So yeah, all I'm doing is just going to take these apart, feed them through the rubber grommets in the bottom, and then they're hidden and out the way. I haven't nicked anything, that is sturdy. So yeah, nearly there. The only thing I've got to do after this is obviously install the power supply, install both Command Pros in the back, hard drives. Obviously I'm going to have to switch my laptop to the rest of the video because this is currently being filmed off my old PC. Obviously quality and sounds a little bit terrible. The only other thing that I've got to put on the front is my EVGA slide bridge. Now this is a 102W 0027LR. It is a, I want to say 4-slot EVGA slide bridge. Excuse this guys, because this is heavy. And voila, there's the radiator, there's my RAM, and there's the NMAX cooler. Now this lights up white as well, so it's going to go perfect with my build. The slide bridge here, there is a slider on the bottom, and you can change the colours if you want, so you can actually take the cover off, strip it apart, and paint it to match your build, which is quite a clever idea. Obviously, as you can see, I'm 5'8". This is sat on a plinth that just comes above my waist, which is there, and this is massive. So, cable management on this thing, not easy. Like I said, it's quite a big case to start with. You have wires everywhere. Just going to feed this one through the top so you can't see it, and then I will link my pin up. Let's go through there, and now you want to connect it to a fan header, which I'm probably going to go with that one, just underneath the NMAX CPU fan pin that is currently connected to. Obviously I will make this look neater, and then just connect it up at the back, obviously making sure that you get all the wires in the right place. So again, I will show you what this looks like a bit later on when I can turn this round. I'm not going to do it again. It is an absolute behemoth, like I said, of trying to manoeuvre it around really. So I'm just going to plug all these in. I'm then going to tidy them up. I've gone top, middle, bottom from the fan pin itself, so it's all nice and neat, and I will be cable tying these in place so it doesn't show. Cable management. Sign of cable management is a sign of a good machine apparently, although you don't want to see my old one. So those are all in, and all I'm going to do now is just cable tie them up as I go along. You have, like I said, plenty and plenty of room behind here for cable management. It's just about getting all the wiring in the right place. Again, not easy with this thing, so hopefully this is going to look fairly good back here. And I'm using the part. Obviously had to spring back out because they don't like sticking back into place very easily. See what, I'll give up on this thing already. It's really starting to do my head in. So, the troubles of building in a big case with Dante. Hope you're laughing at this because I'm not. Right. For some unknown reason, I lost my cutters. Which I don't know what I've done with them now. But anyway, now that's in, as you can see, you can't really notice that I've got a cable tie there and there. It's all nicely neat and underway, and that isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Obviously you can see the wiring. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see that too much when it's all done in the case, so I'm not too worried about that. Found my cutters. Right, so that's that in. Next step is get the get the PSU in. Now obviously I'm going to need this. You've got a 4-pin and an 8-pin there. You're going to need both of these for the Verizon Threadripper to supply the power to all 8 cores. So just take away the bottom PSU shroud. With this, because it's enclosed, you can go either, I would go fan down, because you're not going to want to go fan up, because you're really not going to be exhausting any heat that way, because it is one full cover. So obviously you've got big enough feet on here, you've got the dust frost on the bottom, it is going to be enough just to have the air coming through the back and out down through the bottom. So once all this is off, they put loads of bolts on here to stop anything from happening, and that should just come off. Next step is the power supply unit. Now, like I said, have gone for a v1.0 from Corsair. As I said, a bit of a fanboy, so just gonna pop that in, and again. It is big enough to take it. I'm just making sure I've got it the right way around, and I have. I'm going to take a quick break, go and grab a coffee, and be back with you shortly.